Hello Touch Designers. I wanted to make this very quick video just explaining the basic concept of feedback in TouchDesigner. I think it's a concept that's widely misunderstood, and it's actually really easy to understand. This is going to be a really fun video, so strap in and let's get started. As usual, we'll make the entire network from scratch. And we'll start by clicking Tab to open the Upgrade dialog. Let's find the top dialog and just find a circle top. Now the circle top does a very simple thing. It just draws a circle on the screen. Let's press on the output connector of this circle. Press Tab and find a null top. Now, as a reminder, a null top doesn't really do anything. Nulls are actually very useful because they can help mark the end of things like feedback chains, which we'll do now, and they can help with a bunch of other stuff that we'll talk about in another video. For now, let's right-click on this line, click on Insert Operator, and find a feedback top. And just drop it down here. Now we have a feedback between our circle and the null. Finally, let's drag the null into the feedback. Now we can see that there's an arrow going from the null into the feedback. So let's understand what's happening here. Now the circle went into the feedback, and that's what we see in the feedback. The output of the feedback goes into this null. And then what happens in this null goes back into the feedback. This means that whatever we put in this here, between the feedback and the null, is going to happen on the way from the feedback to the null. And then the result of that is going to go back into the feedback and go through this middle section again. The easiest way to understand this is to right-click on this connector here, click on Insert Operator, and let's find a Transform top. Again, the Transform top does something very simple. It just either zooms into your image or zooms out via this scale attribute, or it moves your image to the left or the right, or up or down using this Translate attribute here. So I'll just click on Translate to expand it. And instead of this fraction in this drop down here, I'm just going to select pixels. So I can just move this image pixel by pixel. And I'll zoom in a little bit. And now I will middle mouse click or long press left click on this first section of the Translate attribute, TX, which stands for translation along the x-axis, left and right. And I will find the 1 granularity, and I'll just drag slightly to the right. And now you can tell that the circle has completely disappeared. It just kept moving right until it went completely outside of the frame. Now, if I was to disable this feedback, if I move this circle right or left, it really only moves once. But what the feedback does is, I'll re-enable it. Every time the circle moves a tiny bit to the right, it goes into this null, and then the circle with its new position go back into the feedback, which again goes into this transform. I can go into this tile tab in the transform operator and turn on repeat extension. And now when I translate it right and it goes out of the frame, it will repeat on the left-hand side. And this gives us this really nice repeating pattern. So this was the basics of the feedback top. I can go into my feedback top and click on the reset pulse here, which will reset the image to its input. So what is connected into the feedback is now going to be the image before any modifications. What a lot of people like to do with the feedback top is create these nice hazy trails, and we can try to simulate that. Let's first delete the feedback, delete the transform, and delete the null, so we only have the circle. Let's go into radius here, and I'll middle mouse click or long left click on radius, find the 0.1 granularity, and just drag it down a little bit so our circle is a little bit smaller. And now I will click tab. Let's find the chop dialog and select an LFO chop. The LFO chop is a low frequency oscillator, which is really just a fancy way of saying a value that changes slowly. This name can be a little misleading because we can actually make this value change quite fast by upping the frequency, but here we actually want it to change quite slowly. So I'll drag the frequency down until it changes nice and slow. Currently, it moves from -1 to +1 in screen space, or essentially the units of the X and Y axis here. We actually go from -0.5 to 0.5. So first, let me click on Viewer Active here in the bottom right corner of the LFO. This lets me drag this value and use it to modulate or change the parameters of this circle. So I'm just going to drag it into center X here. And in this little drop down that opens, I'm going to select Chop Reference, which essentially means whatever the value here is going to be the value there. And you can tell that the circle goes outside of the screen because the screen is only -0.5 to 0.5 wide. I'll go back into my LFO, and now let's select this amplitude slider and drag it down until it's about maybe 0.28 or so. This looks about right to me. So now our circle is moving from left to right. The next step would be to connect it to a feedback top, but we'll put this feedback top a little further down. There's a very good reason for that. Next to the circle, I will connect another operator called a composite operator. And the composite does a very simple thing. It takes in two inputs and combines them in various ways. And it has a bunch of different operations here that all have different uses. But the one we're interested in right now is over. And essentially what the over operation does is it takes the first input and puts it over the second input. Let's connect the second input here. And indeed, we can tell that the first input is overlaid over the second. And because the background of both inputs is transparent, and you can tell that it's transparent because of the checkerboard pattern, the first input is neatly overlaid over the second one. There's one more thing we need to do here, and that is to drag the comp into the feedback. So the result of this compositing gets fed back into the feedback. But now the circle just keeps overlaying over itself. We actually want more of a hazy trail, so we'll right click the connection between the feedback and the comp, we'll insert an operator, and we'll find the level top. What the level top does is also quite simple. It lets us change the various levels of an image, things like the brightness, the contrast, the gamma. What we're interested in is in the post tab here. And we're gonna take this opacity, I'll middle click or long left press, find the 0.1 granularity and drag it slightly to the left. Now what happens is every time the image travels back from the comp into the feedback, it becomes a tiny bit more transparent. So images that are older are fully transparent. Images that are newer are less transparent. Because every time the circle moves, it records a new image into the comp, which travels back into the feedback and overlaid over all of the previous frames, we see this nice hazy trail that starts fairly opaque where the circle is and where it's traveled last, and becomes hazier in the frames that came before. So that's it. That is a very brief introduction to feedback in TouchDesigner. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time.